You're welcome back to iBrand Daybreak. Now we move over to the topic of discussion this morning. Nigeria and the United States government have reached an agreement on the return of over 23 million US dollars of the Abacha loot. The agreement signing ceremony was held in the office of the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Abacha Malami, on Tuesday. Now, while Mr. Malami signed on behalf of the Nigerian government, the U.S. ambassador to Nigeria, Mary Beth Leonard, signed on behalf of the U.S. government. According to Mr. Malami, the fund, when returned, will be invested in 3 ongoing projects by the federal government, including the ongoing Abuja-Kaduna Road and the second Niger Bridge. Now, Nigeria has in the past recovered several other tranches of the Abacha loot, which are proceeds believed to have been diverted from public coffers by the military administration of General Sani Abacha in the 1990s. The U.S., in a statement signed by its Department of Justice, said the latest tranche will increase the total amount forfeited to approximately 334.7 million US dollars. Now joining us via audio call, we have Dr. Dayo Kayode, a political technocrat. Good morning, Dr. Dayo, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm fine, thank you. And Dr. Dayo,
yes, nice being online with you this morning. Okay.
All right, thank you. Now we've had a lot of conversations about the Abacha loot. This is not the first time monies have been repatriated back to Nigeria years after his death. And after he left office. Now let's look at the issue with loot from the federal from persons that have been given the responsibility to manage and handle the funds of the nation.
Yeah, thank you, Margaret, for having me this morning. You see, my first observation is look, Nigerians need to be first of all thankful to Abacha because he's the only our late father that has been sending money to us from the grave, isn't it? Because, like you said, now how many times that we have been recovering his loot. But the issue is, all this money that have been coming in, to what extent has this government been using it for what they are supposed to use it for? There was a time, I think there was a time some years back, that there was an argument on this particular Abacha loot that look, let us use this money to do 1, 2, 3, 4. And they were saying, there are some constraints there, there are some rules that they cannot touch it yet, they cannot this. Where is that money? Are some people not looting the money back? To what extent are we being transparent in spending these monies for what we are supposed to spend it for? I mean, it is not even appalling for the repatriating country to be telling us that look, this money before we release it, we have to sign on what we are going to use it for because they don't want this money to be filtered again. I mean, it's appalling. That means most of all this money that are being received, that is why when a loot is being recovered, some other people loot it back. Now, on this one now, there's an agreement that okay, this money must be used for second Niger Bridge, Kaduna Abuja Road, and then maybe one other thing. Now we want to see how this money will be used to sort those infrastructural facilities development. Even when you also look at it, they were not even specific about how much. They said about. They were not specific about the real amount. About the news said about. So about the remaining ones, how do we know exactly what we are bringing in? So it's a big issue in this country.
Dr. Dayo,
big issue.
Dr. Dayo, just to add that, before now, this is about 23 million US dollars that has been repatriated. Now, cumulatively we have about 334 thereabouts there's come back. Now the thing is about infrastructure development, it's fine, but we have issues that are still pending that just a facet of this money, a minute figure of this money can solve. One of which is the educational sector and the health sector, and nothing has been said about those things. Let me hear your thought on that, Dr. Dayo.
So that is why I quickly mentioned the whole time that it is appalling that the repatriating country is now saying, before we release this money, we have to sign an agreement on how you are going to spend the money. All right? Now, there are even some other important areas that are supposed to push this money like you mentioned. To what extent have we been able to also tell those people there that, look, we have other urgent matters than these ones you are seeing? If not because it is on such areas that they be able to maneuver the money in flying to their pockets. You know, it's bad, it's sad. Where I am now before receiving your call, this is exactly what myself and that person were discussing. That the corruption in this country is hydra-headed. To solve it, maybe we need to go to the mountain for 41 days.
Okay, talking about hydra-headed, corruption schemes or scandals rocking the nation. This is definitely not the first tranche of the Abacha loot we're receiving. And as you've said earlier, it's almost like a gift that keeps giving in terms of the Abacha loot being returned to Nigeria. But for $334 million, it seems like we've not judiciously spent, that loot in building the nation, be it infrastructure or other sectors. The question then will be this: how do we, plug these loopholes wherein loots get out of the country? We can't keep, banking on receiving Abacha loot. At some point, the repatriating countries will probably tell us there are no more funds to be repatriated, and what you probably have is other people's loots here and there. But how can we, within the system, ensure that we do not have such leakages again?
Yes, by ensuring that we come up with some frameworks.
Such as?
We come up with some frameworks that will serve as checks and balances. For instance, framework in terms of, okay, if you have been alleged of stealing, like it has happened to our Accountant General of the Federation now.
Yes.
We were all privy to the amount of money that it was alleged to have stolen from our Commonwealth. Set up a kind of judicial panel. A judicial panel. Not panel of inquiry. Not panel of inquiry now. A judicial panel that will handle such cases expeditiously. Okay? And whereby there will be nothing like untouchables. Let people be judged. If there are some lies in it, let them release them. Or if it's the truth, let the money be taken back from them and then be punished appropriately. The moment we are doing that, look at. I mean, is it not stupidity for a high caliber officer in government to be saying snake swallowed money? Is it not also a slap on we Nigerians to also swallow such a statement? Is it not an irony for a senior officer in our government to be saying the baboons are eating some money, or termites are eating the receipt, whereby you can use to explain how a particular sum of money was spent? Is it not also ludicrous for a home minister to be asked, where are the receipts for for these expenditures, and you are saying it's the office of the AGF, and under 3-4 hours, the office of that AGF got bombed. Where do you do that? How do you explain that? Is it not also deceitful to be saying, we are going to unmask those people that are stealing our oil? Is it to unmask them? Is it unmask them or apprehend them and get them punished? So all these things we have to shift our narratives from such activities and then move to another paradigm whereby all these people stealing our money will be apprehended. We collect that money from them. Even the ones that are not stealing, collect everything, send them back to penury, and then send them back to jail.
All right, Dr. Dayo. Now, I like the fact that you mentioned this. Now, talking about this, what is the role of the judicial system in curbing this looting and corruption in the system? Because you had mentioned that stories have come, snakes swallowing money, baboons, termites eating receipts, and all of those things.
And some lawyers to be suspending the cases.
But then with these cases, these cases, we have not even heard anything about it from time till date. So what is the role of the judiciary that should be the hope of the average Nigerian, not using the word the common man now, but the average Nigerian? The judiciary should be able to be the sector where everyone runs to get justice in issues like this, but nothing has been said about it, Dr. Dayo.
Is the judiciary not part of the system? The judiciary is also part of the system now. They are also Nigerians now. They live together with the executives. They live together with the legislators. They live together with all these looters. What are you talking about?
So are you saying we have a total purge of the system too?
They always say, that means there is no way a sheep that was with a dog will also behave like that dog. So, is the judiciary not also corrupt? They are also corrupt. They are not the one, and they're not even the one aiding them, especially the judiciary and the civil service.
So, if we have all of these corrupt persons in this system, Dr. Dayo, if we have all these corrupt persons in this system, what can be done? Are you suggesting a total purge of the system to get rid of all of those people and having new... Okay.
There's no way you can put the system within a short time. But by the time we move away from taking them to court, but back to setting up a judicial panel that will be dealing with all these cases expeditiously. Then you will see that everybody will sit up.
All right.
In expecting the judiciary now to step up and address some of these issues, don't you think it needs a strong legislation? Because the judiciary can't act in isolation; it has to act on the basis of the law. And if the lawmakers do not come up with strong legislation to back up the fight against corruption, then the fight is similarly inconsequential in that sense. So the question would be, should we have a legislation that would back, that would bring about the establishment of a judicial panel that would address these issues as speedily as they can? And should we also have, pardon?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. All these things are already in the Constitution.
Okay.
They are all stipulated in the Constitution. It is just that when the head is rotten, the whole body will also get spoiled. Until when we are able to put in place a leadership, just one person that will say enough is enough before we see all this. Okay?
Yes.
Look at this government. This government came in on the mantra of to fight corruption.
Okay.
But when they started seeing some lackeys here and there, then the thing came back, even in fold more than what we were having before. So what I'm saying is, it is not about coming up with laws and regulations which are there already. It is about having a determined leader, a focused leader that is ready to fight corruption. When you see that, even instead of legislature passing laws, you just be seeing executive orders here and there that will ensure that all these infrastructure, judicial infrastructure, are being put in place.
Okay, thank you very much for your time on the show this morning. We appreciate this conversation. We're going to break right now. When we return, the conversation continues. Please to stay with us.